Hey, what's going on? We're going to try this again. We did a whole 30-minute thing on this. But we're going to give it another go. So this is Chris Jericho and MJF's Me and My Shadow. I'm going to be stopping this thing from time to time to look at it. All right, this is our opening shot, right? If they're going to put all this time into doing something this sort of over the top, I'm going to look at it deep. It's great. It's very Chris Jericho. You know you're in this segment. It's a good opening shot, a little bit of the bubbly, a little bit of promo. We got AEW on here. Great. So we pull back. We've got the two of them standing off. Jericho makes the first move. He's going to drink from his little bit of the bubbly. Small stuff. It's flat. And again, forgive me for being overly picky about this stuff, but hey, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it. Chris Jericho's got kind of a rock and roll thing. So he's got his normally sort of freer, messier hair sort of tied back. He's wearing a ridiculous suit with the matching tie. MJF counters. He sniffs the wine because he's a snob dude. We see his ring there. He looks good in the white tux with, of course, his the famous scarf, right? He says. So it's I enjoyed mine more than you did. Small, minor stuff. Enter Velma/Thelma.
Good evening. My name is Velma. I will be taking care of you guys. Sir, I can...
Chris Jericho makes an outward thing of being pleasant, at least, as smarmy as it is. MJF never makes eye contact with her.
So you are already enjoying a nice glass of our red wine?
You're stretching it. I've had better.
So the only time he makes eye contact with her is to say something condescending and patronizing. We're in the first act, so the first act of anything, this thing is roughly 6 minutes long, which means you can divide this thing up into 2-minute blocks. And right now, we're establishing characters as part of it for first-time viewers or people that might watch this later on because they heard about it. So we're establishing that MJF is a world-class jerk here, right? She's trying to be pleasant. Oh, I see you're enjoying the wine. He's like, I've had better. And that's the only time that he acknowledges her as a person.
Thelma?
Her name is Velma.
He says Thelma, and Chris Jericho corrects him. In this power struggle, Chris Jericho is trying to maintain the top position. So he corrects him. It's Velma, right?
V. Got it.
With
I really understand. Thelma, here's my order, okay, sweetheart? I'm gonna need a
patronizing thing of sweetheart. I gotta say, whoever played Velma/Thelma here did a great job. Look at her face right now. It's like, I'm trying to hold back. I'm trying to be nice to these guys because they're important people and I'm helping them. But she's definitely having to hold back her reactions, and she's doing it in a very effective acting way.
20-ounce porterhouse steak.
Okay, quibble. They wouldn't order a fucking porterhouse steak. 20-ounce porterhouse steak, it's not even one of the 3 or 4 top cuts. They would order something else, but it makes a great thing. Porterhouse sounds good when you say it out loud. I get all that. So he orders the 20-ounce porterhouse steak, the baked potato, and then establishes
the baked
this
potato
thing.
on the side, and I'm gonna need that sucker well done.
Get that well done.
Thanks.
Thanks, but again, he doesn't look at her when he says something nice, only when he wants something or is condescending. Chris Jericho immediately has to take the power position of, I'm going to downplay what you say. Quick note about the table setting here. It's great. Chris Jericho and MJF both have their different kind of drinks. He's got a champagne flute. He's got a wine glass. It all works. It's a nice black and white table scheme. The only quibble I have is they have a candle there and it's not lit. I would have just not had the candle there at all. You got the salt and pepper shakers to be the center. Either that or pick a centerpiece that doesn't require an unlit candle. Small stuff, but they're going all out, and I want to make sure we're nailing all of these little points to encourage wrestling people if they're going to do their own sort of vignettes and that kind of thing. These little details matter because they show that you cared about what you were doing, and it tends to make a better overall finished product.
Velma.
Jericho is a sort of a seasoned improv type of performer, and the way that he delivers lines, Velma, it's like, see, I'm pointing out the fact that I'm right about her name.
Love a porterhouse steak, also 20 ounces.
He's very positive. I would love a porterhouse steak, also 20 ounce. So he's emphasizing the fact, yeah, I'm ordering the same thing he does, but with one important difference.
Also with a baked potato, but I'd like that cooked medium well.
Look at that look. That is the look of a man who goes, I just beat you. It's great that they're making a competition in a game out of nothing. Something I like that MJF and Chris Jericho do throughout this thing is they stick to really good improv performance principles. Meaning they yes and each other. They don't counter each other. They don't say something didn't happen that the person said did happen. They just go with it, and it makes for a much more fluid performance.
Sweetheart.
Sweetheart. Again, another patronizing thing, and when he hits that sweetheart line, she immediately plays it off. Look at her face, which is like, and how she's holding the pen. Small stuff, but it all reads when it plays through, which is she's just like barely holding back the tension of like these two assholes, especially this asshole MJF.
My apologies. I'd like you to strike down that last old...
His little strike down thing is fun. When MJF is having fun, that's when he's at his best in this thing. At times he's really tight performance-wise, but when he loosens up and does his thing, he's really good. I mean, just this little strike down, I really liked it.
Order. I'm gonna have a 20-ounce porterhouse with a baked potato,
And again, the only time he acknowledges her is to either badmouth her or when he's getting something that he wants. And now Chris Jericho's going, oh no, he's taken my one-upsmanship game of getting my steak a little rarer than his, and now he's going to one-up me. Chris Jericho's now, his face is saying, okay, I understand the game we're playing, and I'm going to win.
I'm gonna need that medium.
Medium. And she nods.
I would like a porterhouse steak, 20 ounces, with a baked potato. I'd like to change the temperature on that to medium rare.
Thelma?
Again, who's better at mugging and making faces than Chris Jericho in wrestling right now? Look at that smarmy face. I'm just like, I ordered it rare. I'm winning. Medium rare, I'm winning.
Please strike my last order.
For Chris Jericho, being smarmy is part of his power thing over MJF. For MJF, it's the guy who's literally fighting from below and fighting up. So MJF takes everything much more seriously. If him and Chris Jericho engaged in this thing of both of them making smarmy faces at each other, it wouldn't work. It only works if one of them is taking the competition seemingly more seriously than the other, though we know that both of them are taking this thing very seriously.
I would like a 20-ounce porterhouse steak.
And again, now it's about Jericho. So this time he doesn't look at Velma/Thelma, he looks at Jericho. Really comedically this works, storytelling device this works.
With a baked potato on the side, and I'm gonna need that rare.
And instead of a look of like smarmy, mugging like Chris Jericho does, his is like, I'm looking you dead in the eye and I'm beating you. But Chris Jericho is still the master. The Rodney Dangerfield tie pull, again, a nice little homage. I notice these
Velma?
things, I like it. Velma. He again emphasizing the fact that I know her name is Velma with a V, and I'm going to say it again. And MJF is going to try to deflect because he thinks he's won. I ordered it rare. How can you beat ordering it rare? But Chris Jericho finds a way.
Forget my previous order. I want a
Forget my previous order.
porterhouse steak, 20 ounces, baked potato on the side, and I like that cooked blue.
Blue, which gets a sell out of MJF of like, what?
AKA extra bloody red.
And then Chris Jericho explains it for the audience, really, who may not know what blue means, but it's a way of sort of stomping. Now he's not mugging. He's taking it seriously. MJF has kind of pulled him out of his smarmy veneer, and now it's a competition.
Rare.
Boom. Yeah, I won. And it's much more aggressive.
Okay, great.
MJF acknowledges that. She can barely hold it together. She's like, I just can't wait to get away from these assholes, which we believe. And they're having fun. She's having fun, right? And that kind of contributes to this thing as well.
What are we doing here?
What are you doing? What are you doing? Right? And MJF has got the look of like, what do you mean, Chris? And this is when Chris goes in for the kill and implies that MJF has not acted as he should.
We've been sitting here for 20 minutes, haven't said a word. You've been rude to everybody.
You're rude to everybody, which shocks MJF. He didn't know Jericho was going to go here. Again, so why am I analyzing it this deep? I think because if you're going to do these sort of extended performances, especially if they don't involve pro wrestling, you need to do them well. And I think they're doing this part really, really well.
Who's I been even
Rude to the valet guy?
Now, Chris Jericho understands funny things happen in threes. So he's like, you're rude to the valet guy. So one thing I like that AEW does that WWE tends to not do is they will create the world that happens before and after they're on camera. WWE never does this. WWE sort of implies that their lives only count when they're on camera at the performance center or whatever. AEW does do a good job of, because they do stuff like being the elite and stuff, they constantly have stuff to refer to that most of their audience hasn't seen, but they set the picture for you very well. So Chris Jericho is going to do it in threes. You're rude to the valet guy, and you could tell that he wanted to end, and you were rude to Velma Thelma, right? But he didn't have a second thing in his mind already, so he improvises it.
Rude to the old lady on the steps downstairs.
The old lady on that, you can see his mind, and even the way his eyes are going, he's creating this as he's saying it, which is true improv, which I love that Chris Jericho would do. Right, the old lady on the steps. So we're trying to set up MJF as the biggest asshole of all time, which is great.
You know, we're gonna have this.
And you notice MJF doesn't no-sell it, and MJF doesn't go, no, I didn't. He just accepts it. Yes, and is a principle in improv, right? Chris Jericho says you were rude to the valet, rude to the old lady on the steps, and to Velma Thelma. MJF just has to accept that. And he does, and it makes the scene flow faster instead of creating a pointless bickering argument about nothing.
This town hall meeting next week with the
Chris Jericho, like a true pro at the end here of Act 1, because we're just about at the 2-minute mark, puts over the fact that they're going to have this town hall where they're going to judge whether MJF is worthy to go into the inner circle. So Chris Jericho is successfully, by downplaying MJF, you were rude to this person, this person, this person. Now Chris Jericho is being just as rude to Velma Thelma in his own way, but he's trying to put MJF in a position where you're an asshole, I'm not, right? And then he says, and we're going to judge you. So he's putting MJF back on his heels. So this whole first act has been about power positioning and Jericho continuing to try to hold on to the fact that he's in a superior position to MJF, when they both basically want the same thing, which is to work together. But it's all about power with these guys, and I get that.
inner circle to talk to the man on the street to find out what the general consensus is as to whether or not you should join. I don't even know if we should even bother. What's the point?
I don't know if we should bother, though, Chris Jericho says. We are going to do this thing next week, which I've promoted, but I don't know if we should bother, because he's just like, maybe MJF's not on my level. Now we're going into Act 2.
Chris, let's cut through the bull, okay? You and I both know this is a gigantic opportunity for both of us.
MJF now makes his pitch, which is, no, we should work together. MJF, instead of being combative with Chris, which is what their relationship has been to this point, is games where they try to one-up each other, MJF presents his case again, as he did in the previous vignette that they had together, which is, we would be great together. Yeah.
We're the two biggest stars in all of professional wrestling. Us working together.
Two biggest stars of professional wrestling. He's trying to link Jericho and he together in that way.
Man, the demo god and the
demo god
ratings
and the
ruler?
Ratings ruler. So now MJF has made his pitch. See, we both have nicknames. We're both equal. Chris Jericho, though, can't let that go, and he has to maintain top position.
Let me just say this. Get cut through the bull. The ratings ruler sucks.
People love
Ratings ruler sucks. He immediately goes like, come on, that nickname is terrible. MJF.
It's terrible. It's got
Terrible.
about as much chance of getting over as...
So he goes, it's terrible. It has as much chance of getting over. Now this next line officially ends Act 1 of this thing.
Orange Cassidy.
Perfectly delivered. They say it at the same time. Their hands look the same. They're making eye contact, such as it is. Great simultaneous laughs. We find common ground. It's the Girardian triangle theory, philosophically, two forces that would destroy each other if they have something a third thing in which to direct their anger and their ire and their violence and their malice, then they can work together. And that's what's happened here. We have a common ground. We both think Orange Cassidy is overrated. And now we've slipped into the era. You can see their body language has changed. We're slipping into the era of working together.
See? We're already getting through our differences, Chris. I mean, come on. Just picture it. Us. Together.
So now MJF, he's gotten around Chris Jericho's attempt to drag him back into the I'm superior to you by downplaying his nickname of the ratings ruler. And now, because they've had the Orange Cassidy moment where they both laughed at Orange Cassidy and the idea of him being overrated, now MJF can slip back into we could work together and it would be great. And now Act 2. As soon as that first beat hits, MJF is in performance mode right here. Jericho's frozen. And now we're clearly working together. Jericho is much more comfortable at being hammy. And that's kind of what his go-to is here. But he's very relaxed and enjoying the performance. MJF is throwing himself into it, but he's much tighter than Jericho at this point.
Like the wallpaper sticks to the wall.
He performs big. It's actually MJF's voice on a recording, but they're lip syncing, which is good. It's really good. And the lip sync syncs up enough, and the fact that it's their real voices, they go big. This is a good framed shot, as you can see. MJF, we get to see his face, and we get the thing of, oh my God, they're singing. This is a musical number.
Like the seashore clings to the sea. Like you'll never get rid of your shadow.
Something MJF does instinctively, I believe, here that's really good is if we're lip syncing, that means I don't have to worry about breath control and all that kind of stuff. So I can play with stuff and I can do stuff as my mouth is moving and I'm not going to mess up. And I can have fun with it. When he's having fun and improvising, MJF's at his best. Jericho does it naturally.
Chris, you'll never get rid of me. Let all the others fight and fuss. Whatever happens, we've got a...
Okay, whoever stage directed this and said, and when you guys crescendo in the big note, we're going to part the curtains. It's a great moment and it's really well done. And you can see the two of them are having fun. The reveal, a little reveal that there's dancing girls, and then they're going to take this weird lap around the table with Jericho literally and figuratively leading the way and MJF following, even how they sing.
We're closer than pages that stick in a book. We're closer than ripples that play in a brook.
And people can bitch and moan about this segment all they want, and I'm going to quit saying that because people are going to not like it, and it shouldn't be part of a wrestling show. And I didn't, but there's no doubt that there was some thought put into this, and the way that they're singing here back and forth is an added layer of complexity that I think really works and really lends to the fact that they threw themselves whole hog into it. Also, when you look at how the curtains have parted. Whoever set this shot up in the second room, I think did a great job. I think the lights look really good, and it all has a very vintage throwback feel, which is what they're going for, and they didn't break it up. The one quibble I have is because they're walking around and you don't get to see their face as much when they're singing, when they sing about like Matt Hardy and stuff like that during this part, it got completely lost to me. And I think it's because they weren't making eye contact with the camera and really hitting those important beats like Hardy. They should have been looking at the camera and telling us, so that way we're getting the fact that they're singing about AEW people. I didn't really get that until the callback at the end, that they were singing about AEW people, because it's really more about the spectacle at this point of like, oh my God, they're doing a musical number and they're singing together, and you know what, it's actually pretty good.
So wherever you'll find him, you'll find me just close than a recliner thrown at Hardy's forehead.
See, if MJF was looking at the camera, and he's probably looking at one, but they went with this shot. I would not have gone with this shot. I would have gone with the one where he's looking at the camera, because we would have understood, oh, he's singing about Hardy getting hit by the chair. Instead, this part just kind of washes over.
Eyes of me. We're closer than snakes are.
And now MJF is leading. He literally says to Chris Jericho, okay, now it's your turn to follow me.
They slide through the grass. We're closer than Cody is to a jackass.
See, he's singing about Cody being a jackass, but we don't get that at all because Chris is not connecting with us as the audience. We're just sort of watching them go around the table, and we know that they're singing, but it's not registering what they're singing about. Again, I'm being so picky about this because they put in a lot of work on this, and I want to clean this up so other people who are going to do performances like this in the future can sort of take these cues of like, okay, make sure I'm constantly connecting with the people who are watching with the camera, that I'm emphasizing the important and or funny things that I'm saying. I want to make sure all of it lands, right? They sang about Matt Hardy, they sang about Cody Rhodes, and I would guess that if you'd seen this before, that's the first time that you realized that they were doing that. And much less what they were saying about it, but the fact that they're singing about Matt Hardy and Cody Rhodes, that probably missed you the first time entirely.
Not a soul can.
When they sing together, they sound really good. They really harmonize well. Jericho, obviously, is rock band. He can sing. MJF is the real surprise here, that he can sing and carry a tune. And people who are trying to downplay it that he can't, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. This is really good. Really good.
Bust this team in two. We stick together like glue.
We stick together like glue. You can just look at this. Who's the more comfortable performer? It's Chris Jericho right now. And he's got the girl that's like knows to look at the camera right away and get her moment. The other two are more concerned about, MJF is really concerned about making sure he gets the steps right throughout this performance. The dancing girls are doing their thing in the back. Right?
And when it's sleeping time, that's
and you can tell at this point, super comfortable on the left, not as comfortable on the right, but they're still going through their singing and doing some dancing.
We start to swing. Swing to the sky. Our clocks don't chime. What?
Even look at their footwork. Jericho's stepping out, she's stepping out. MJF isn't stepping out. Though to be fair, dancing in dress shoes is a really tough thing. It's very slippery. And so MJF's just trying to make sure he doesn't fuck up the dance part right here.
What a surprise. They ring. A ding ding.
So now we're about to go into the third act. We're at 420, haha, out of 626. So now they've worked together. The first thing, they competed with each other. Jericho tried to maintain top position power-wise. This, they've worked together. They've given up positions of power. First you sing lead, then I sing lead. And now we're dancing with the girls, and then we drop them, which is a funny moment.
Happy New Year.
They didn't get the point exactly right. I would have reshot that and got the point, but it's not that big of a deal. But you know, it is what it is. Again, I'm super picky about stuff.
And now to repeat what?
I do like these thing of the dancing girls, and it's also funny to me. I would rewind this just a little bit so you can see something. Right, so there's Jericho.
Happy New Year. And now to
look at them in 3 different stages of smiling, right? From not smiling to kind of smiling to smiling big performance style. No matter what role you're performing when you're on camera or in front of a live crowd, you got to go big and you got to go smiling and you got to match as much as possible, right? Small thing? No, not a small thing, because a lot of you are going to be extras on AEW stuff, WWE stuff. You want to make sure that you're always portraying the thing they want you to portray. It's important because you can see I caught them here. One of them half smiling, one of them not smiling, and the other one's smiling big. Minor details, not really.
To repeat what I said at the start.
Now they're comfortable.
You'll need a large
You can see by MJF's body language, he's into it. Him and Jericho are in a flow together.
bar to break us apart. We're alone but far.
They add the, now the 2 girls who are dancing with them now join, right? Which is kind of hysterical. The one on the right is looking to make sure they're matching. But now they've done it. Okay, we've all got our hats on at the same time and they feel better because now they're in sync as well.
Before we get finished, we'll make the town roar.
We'll make the town roar, and they do this roar thing. I wish they went bigger, and I wish they were more coordinated with it, but I like the roar thing. It's ludicrous, of course.
We'll hit all the late spots and then a few more.
We wind up at Daly's and then the 4th floor.
You see how he's hitting this line about dailies? And because he's looking at you while he's singing it, it registers. You go, oh, dailies. And then he says the 4th floor thing. I'm not sure what the 4th floor thing is a reference to, but I'm paying attention and I acknowledge it because he's looking at me when he's singing it.
Oh, life is gonna be.
Now they're completely off on their footwork here, but it doesn't matter. Chris Jericho knows the rule, which is, okay, if we screw up big and go big with the performance at least. They go back to back. The dancing girls are all over the place. Nobody cares. It's all about how they're going to hit this harmonized note together. And MJF does a subtle thing here. Shadow. Jericho's my shadow. Subtle, but I caught it. Me. This is the worst note that they hit together. It doesn't matter. The whole point is the spectacle. The camera swoops in, really well done. And the dancing girls in the back line up for the other part that they're going to do. Kick line. False finish, right?
Say, Chris.
Say, Chris.
This is Maxwell.
Would you do me a
Maxwell?
favor?
What do you want?
Can you do me a favor? And then Chris Jericho, now they've worked together, but now we're going to go into this third act part, heavy. And Chris Jericho downplays him again. What do you want now? Trying to seize the power back.
Would you mind taking it one more time?
You want to take it one more time? And
the
Jericho
top?
goes,
No,
from the
from
top.
the ending.
What?
And he goes, no, from the finish. So MJF has seized the power back, and Chris Jericho just goes along with it. Wonderful. Now there's a little feet tapping.
And while we are swinging, to mention a few, we'll drop in a Chili's, hey, Young Bucks, screw you.
Because they're singing to us, we actually pick up the line. They say the thing about Chili's, which I believe is an allusion to the Dark Order. If you don't watch Being the Elite and stuff, you probably wouldn't get it. And and then Young Bucks, screw you. Because they're looking at us, we know what they're saying. Oh, they're singing about AEW people. When we get that this time.
We'll beat up on Moxley.
We'll beat up on Moxley, and Chris Jericho performs. So now we really get that line.
Whatever we do, life is gonna be.
Here's my quibble with the kick line. I love that they did a kick line, but I wish they had gone knee up, kick, knee up, kick. It looks better. It's another layer of complexity, and it's actually how you do a kick line. Small stuff, but again, they went all out with this thing, so I'm going all out with my analysis.
We were for my shadow and me.
I love this. They actually went bigger than the first time that they ended the song. They're rushing towards the camera. The camera's panning back. Whoever came up with this of them going back to back, ending the note and the curtain closing and returning to the spot, really, really great. Really, really harkens back to musical numbers and stuff. Really nice touch. So this is their last realm of being in this musical number. And now they have choices on how to sell going back to the table. I love the choice that they made, which is, boom, we immediately drop in, we're serious again, as opposed to being dismissive of what they just did. Instead, it's like, okay, now we have to go back to this little power struggle. Nice. They sit. Everything is in lockstep. Now they're playing this game of adjusting stuff. All right, now we have to get ready to play chess again. We had a moment where we were spontaneous together and we work really well together. Now we have to feel like we have to fight each other again. The Jericho cell face on my steak is shit is great. Quibble. Jericho's would possibly look like that. MJF, because he ordered his rare, would be cooked at least a little. Minor thing. And the potatoes kind of look like shit. And again, that unlit candle looks stupid. Quibbling points.
Chris, this is rare. Like,
MJF is attempting to connect again. Chris, this is rare. We're both the same, Chris. We're both fucked ourselves over equally.
like rare.
Rare. Poke.
Disgusting. I mean,
It's disgusting.
we're gonna have to send this back.
We gotta send this back.
Velma!
And now they both say her name wrong simultaneously. And then we get a closing little button beat with the music. Ba-na-na-na-na. Really well done. Anyway, how do I think this fits into pro wrestling? I'm always of the mind you can do anything as long as you do it well. I would say that they did an incredibly good job with this. I had a bunch of points to quibble. That's mostly for educational purposes for people who are going to do this kind of thing in the future in wrestling or performance in general. But that was my deep dive into Chris Jericho and MJF's Me and My Shadow. Phew, there's a lot there.